Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever the case may be, wherever you are in the world, because we know we deal with international audiences on this show, and that's what it should be. We ain't we ain't just for Liverpool fans in Liverpool. We're for worldwide fans all around the world. A warm welcome to you all. Tonight we're going to be discussing, in essence, mainly the huge, and I say huge, 3 points that we got at Wolverhampton Wanderers. It finished Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Liverpool 1. Um, we were going to do a post-match reaction last night, but then me and Conroy had a chat about streams, and because the game wasn't televised, we thought we'd give everyone a chance to um, try to get sort of a better understanding of it, watch it, because a lot of people were complaining that there was not many streams about, and the streams that were going about were pretty dodgy. But hey, it is what it is. Joining me tonight to talk about what could turn out to be a huge 3 points. I've got Conroy himself. Conroy talks a lot of sense, I'd say. How you doing, Conroy?
I'm good, mate. Maybe that's 50-50. But yeah, no, I'm good, mate. And buzzing with the result yesterday. I know we'll get into it, but genuinely can't emphasise enough how massive that was yesterday. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah, man. It was huge. It was huge, but I don't think not many things rival as huge as Mr. Big K himself. Big K, what are you saying, bro?
What's happening? What's happening? I'm blessed, man. I'm buzzing. It's been a roller coaster. I recently got new neighbors, and we haven't even met yet. But they must think I'm nuts. The way I was reacting yesterday to the chances and obviously what would happen, they must think they've bought next to a madman. So yeah, I was.
You know what? Justified yesterday. I was telling Conroy earlier, just off air, me and Conroy having a little heart to heart before we went live. And I said, I don't really get that emotional about like a goal. Like I get emotional about a game, whatever. But in terms of a goal and celebrating wildly, like we see some fans do on social media, whatever. This one made me go wild, man. I just felt it so big, but we'll get into it. And we got Soccer God himself. What are you saying, Soccer God, Evan?
I'm just trying to come down from yesterday. I'm really tense. Games like that will do that to you. I skipped the coffee today, no caffeine. So yeah, I'm fully trying to decompress at this point.
Shout out to Mr. Adam Ramjon, my school pal in the house. I never doubted the win for a second, could feel it coming. I don't believe that, man. In the 95th minute, you could feel that coming. But he is one of the most positive fans I've ever known in my life. We went through some dark years in terms of supporting Liverpool. And every season, he would always say, relax, Chris, we're going to win the league. Regardless of who we were, even the Hodgson era, the Dalglish era, every era we had. So big up Adam Ramjon in the house.
Guy, man.
He is, man. He's a legend, absolute legend. But we get stuck into it. We get stuck into it, and as we always do, we done a pre-match show and we discuss sort of the expected lineups. And Conroy, I'll come to you. Pretty much as we said, pretty much as we thought he would go. Sort of one last effort, huge effort required from the lads before the AC Milan non-event, really. So we kind of expected him to go huge and strong, and the most experienced lineup, I'd say, right now as well. So you was okay with it, I'm assuming?
Yeah, no, fine. We kind of touched on that. Got it spot on. I think all of us in the pre-match exactly what happened. Yeah, and I think we knew that with the games coming up, you can afford to rest a few bodies during the week. And this is a massive game. I know we'd said it on Friday night, Riz, that we all had a feeling, a bit like you called it last week with Man United and Chelsea, that someone's going to drop points, Chelsea or City this weekend, and that's what happened. So, yeah, absolutely had to be full strength and exactly especially after the West Ham Chelsea result, had to capitalise. So fair enough, it was good management.
Yeah, look, Keith, it was. I genuinely thought we'd go again and with the same team. There was always that element, though, of slightly tired legs. We need as much energy as we can because we knew Wolves would be organised. Wolves would be very resolute. Wolves would be very sort of camped and not give us any space. And that's the only thing that was in my mind about maybe we see an Ox who brings a different type of dynamism as opposed to Henderson, who's a different type of number 8, effective nevertheless, but different. That was my only thing. And then obviously you mentioned, or someone mentioned about Konate possibly because of the threat of the Traore pace. But this was without doubt the most experienced team. Like, for example, let me put it to you this way. If there was a Champions League final team tomorrow, I'm assuming you'd pick this one, right? You're on mute, as usual.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the team that would play the Champions League final, and that will probably be, as we go into the season, the first choice 11 in the Premier League, unless one of them's injured going forward. You know, it's the one that Klopp trusts. You know, if we just dissect it just for a second, you know, a fascinating thing that I think has surprised a lot of people this season is that Klopp sees Virgil van Dijk and Joel Matip as the #1 centre-back partnership for Liverpool. And he lives and dies by that. And a lot of times when we talk about this, we think that he might slip Konate in here. And to be perfectly honest with you, the only time he slipped Konate in the Premier League game, I believe, is to give Joel Matip a little bit of a rest after a little bit of a knock. But it's quite interesting to see that.
Was it the Palace game? No, he's played him twice, I think. Yeah, Palace and Brighton.
Palace and Brighton, I believe it was. Yeah, Palace
and
and
Brighton.
Brighton.
He played Konate at United at Old Trafford. He played Konate for pace.
Yeah. Played him there because Matip was out. I think he picked up a knock.
I think maybe the Konate one was the only one that you can maybe argue was a tactic to say. I think you're right, Keith. I think majority of them was because Matip had maybe played quite a lot of games.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. And I think the United one, if tell me if I'm following the chat, but I believe he wasn't in the squad for that one, but I could be wrong. But anyway, but the two with Fabinho and Thiago at the moment as well is quite interesting. I feel that what's building with that partnership. Klopp seems to trust it, and actually, as we go into the game later on, he may have stumbled across something interesting. Let's put it that way. Something interesting he stumbled across on. But apart from that, with the 11 that went out, they deserved to go out after the Everton game, and it was all systems go.
Yeah, look, we start off by obviously looking at that opening phase, which is always crucial, Evan, and I'm going to come to you for the opening phase part. Because the way I've watched Liverpool over the years, I kind of know how the game's going to go from the start. It doesn't always work out like that, of course. But you get a sense of, are we going to go all out and these guys are going to be just, you know, clinging on for dear life for 90 minutes, or is it going to be a sort of strategic, patient type of game? I think the opening 15 to 20 minutes gave it away that this is not going to be an Everton or a United, you know, two crappy teams, not much coaching going on by the looks of it over there, right? This is going to be more a patience, all about patience, working them out almost. You know how we've done one of the biggest attributes, and I thought positives, and I think a lot of people plaudits that this team got in the title winning was we work things out very quickly as a team because we've got so many experienced world-class players in this team. Did it give you the same vibe in that opening 15-20 minutes, and how did you feel after that opening 15-20 minutes?
I think the writing might have been on the wall earlier than 15 or 20 minutes because I'd gotten quite used to scoring inside 5. I was a bit disappointed I was a bit disappointed when we didn't get our customary opening 5. Yeah, and you should never get used to things like that. But in all seriousness, yeah, I think once you get to the sample size of 15, 20 minutes, you can see it's going to be a different type of game. This is a different type of opponent. That being said, we easily could have gone into halftime 2-0 up after that. Jota has a header at the back post. You could have done more with. Salah's only denied a tap in by what will undoubtedly be the greatest tackle of Roman Sais's entire career. So it really there was some fine margins there, even though I would argue we hadn't really kicked into gear yet. Credit to Wolves, they're compact, they're a stingy outfit. They don't score too many goals, but they don't concede too many either. So on paper going into the game, you could see it was going to be the writing was on the wall, was there for it to be a more methodical, slow contest, like you were saying. But come halftime, I wasn't deterred. I still felt the goal was coming.
You've skipped on to halftime. I don't want to get to halftime yet, Conroy. I want to. It's all right, no problem, man. We know we're eager to talk about. We want to get to the climax very quickly as a game. But we need to listen. We need to slow this down because a lot of people, and it's genuinely true. A lot of people are telling me that they didn't quite see the game fully. Like they managed to catch highlights on Match of the Day and whatnot because unbelievably, it wasn't coverage. Like it wasn't live on any of the major channels. BN Sports, of course, but we don't want to shout out BN Sports unless they want to sponsor my channel, So, but Conrad, Evan's right. Even it became very apparent early on that it's going to be a methodical, not working each other out, but working out where to attack them and how to attack them. Because let's get this straight. Normally, there's always a variation of 5 at the back. Some people call it a 5-3-2. Some people call it a 3-5-2. This was a 5-4-1 at best. Because how many times did we see Jimenez literally on the halfway line trying to sort of gain control of the ball? So we had to be patient. I personally thought we started gaining control from about 20 minutes onwards and then created a couple of opportunities. Is that how you felt as well?
Yeah, absolutely, Grizz. I think, as I say, me and you said it'd be a patient type of game. I expected the first 20 minutes to go like that. We actually took control earlier than I thought we would. I thought it might be 30-35 kind of. We sometimes sneak a goal before half time when we're taking control. And I'm going to egg on more than what Evan said. I'm going to be absolutely ruthless here. Got to score both of those chances. Like this is not Sunday League. That header is got to score. This is elite level football. Jota's got to.
It was your boy as well. It was your boy as well.
Like he's not taken away from criticism. He has got to score that header. Like that is. We need to stop thinking this is 5-a-sides with our friends. This is elite level football, and that is not good enough. So that's the first strike straight away. The second one, I have no idea how Mohamed Salah has not scored that. As you said, it's probably an unbelievable challenge. However, we should score there. I've looked at it 3 times. People were very quick to criticise. That is a perfect pass by Andrew Robertson. Like, it's perfect. That is exactly the pass you need to do. Some people are saying pass to Mane, but if you're coming across like that, you have to hit it so the keeper and the defender doesn't get in the way. It's a perfect ball, and I think it's just one of these things. It's like either Salah, he's not mistimed it, but he's somehow not scored. I still don't know how that's not went in, but it's not necessarily his fault. It's just a strange circumstance. But for me, this is why I'm not seeing this game as we struggle to break teams down. We should have scored at least one goal there, and 9 times out of 10 we do. So that, I know we'll get into more later, Grizz, but that's why I kind of felt this is going to be one of those days, because both of them should have been goals like in a normal day. So if we do that, then it's usually copy and paste performance. We score before half time, we take control, and then we maybe get 1 or 2 in the second half. But it didn't work out that way.
Keith, HSN, I'm sure that pretty much abbreviates for Hassan. If not, let me know, Hassan. If you're not Hassan, I'm apologize. I'm going to keep calling you Hassan anyway. Keith, he says they kept a clean sheet in over 300 minutes of football. It was never going to be easy. This game reminded me of the title-winning season, persistent all the way through, and a deserved winner. It's true, going on from Conway, taking all that into consideration, that they are a resolute Wolves team, and shout out to you because you highlighted Roman Saiss as an interesting centre-back who you admired, and Conrad talks about his challenge on Salah. Guys, was that not a penalty? I mean, I don't know. People let me know. Did he get the ball? I don't know. I'm not suggesting it was. At the time, I thought because of the fact that we don't make enough of these situations, like if Mohamed Salah goes rolling down and everyone asks for a penalty, begs, at least the referee looks at it, and then I don't know. It didn't look a clear take on the ball. I don't know. Give me your opinion on that. And then Jota, as he says, Jota's got to put that chance away, that header at the far post. He's so underrated. We actually rate him as a header of the ball. He misses that chance. That's 2 good chances. I believe there was another one. Can anyone help me out here in that opening 30 minutes? But if not, those 2 chances definitely need to be snapped up, right?
Interesting. Here's the interesting thing about Diogo Jota, to discuss that he brings more to football than just scoring goals, is that, he should have scored that goal. But that Salah chance starts from a great ball by Diogo Jota to send him through to Robertson on the wing, who then cuts it back to Mo Salah. So Jota does almost trying to atone for the sins after that initial headed miss with a fantastic through ball. And VAR must have seen something. Yeah, like there must have been a nick, there must have been a touch.
Some are saying it was an unreal tackle. Kevin saying it was
I think it's an unreal tackle. Like,
he got
fair
enough of something that he didn't get enough of Salah. You know what I mean? He didn't take the man before the ball to make it a really kind of. But of course, reactionary at the time, I was going, "How can that not be a penalty?" You know,
for the defender to get a touch in that is enough for us all to be quiet as fans, because the fact that the defender can get a touch in that ball there, like any benefit, any doubt, you have to give it to the defender there, because the fact that he touches it before Salah is incredible. And I think it's like a bar giving a attacker a penalty for any contact. I think you've got to be fair. That's just ridiculous how he's touched that.
But there was another point that was made on the chat, and it was about the fact that Wolves came into this game with 2 clean sheets. And at the time, do you know what? It's quite interesting. I think it was almost something we kind of overlooked, the fact that they didn't concede in those 2 games. But it kind of made sense in terms of this is Bruno Lage's best team, okay? This is his best squad. We face the best Wolves that Wolves can put out this season, right? There's no key players injured. There's no key defenders missing. This is what Lage is going to put out day and night. So we face the most structured, well thought out Wolves, and they played exactly how we were telling Finners what our kryptonite is, what they were trying to do. But if I'm really honest with you, this performance was one of my favorite Liverpool performances from start to finish. I thought that we dealt with Now, when you look at the highlights, go back and watch the 10-minute package highlights, right? And the chances that they show Wolves have. In the first half, at least 2 of those chances were offside. That's what they had to put into the highlights package to create a narrative. I was listening to the commentators, and they were making out like the first half was a humdinger. No, it wasn't. Matip and Van Dijk, and I've spoken about all the season, that our defensive line is phenomenal, right? It scores us like goals. Like, people don't realize how many offsides Liverpool were. Liverpool won in that game 8 offsides. The last highest one that they did at 8 was against Manchester United when they won 5-0, and they won 7 against Arsenal. You see Matip lose his mind, and people will like put it up as no context Matip, right? Because he's like, what the fuck? But I can kind of feel his frustration, because time and again this season we've won offsides, and the referee carries on letting the game play, and it makes it feel like something bad happened.
That they were close, that when they weren't. Yeah, exactly.
And even in the first half, it made you kind of feel like the first 15 minutes. Funny enough, another thing I want to say about the first 15 minutes is true. It was like there was an incident that happened, I think, 5 minutes into the game, right? Where Henderson and Trent kind of run into each other, and then the ball kind of bounces out. And you got that feeling that, is it going to be one of those days? It's going to be a little sloppy. We're not going to be as brave, etc., etc. But I thought the way we managed the first half was fantastic, because once we got into that, we carved them open for fun. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Conroy, you're saying about chances. Trent should have scored. That was a brilliant ball, clipped in by Thiago. Phenomenal pass. Chipped in by Thiago. It was just before the Jota chance, right? Yeah. He plays this brilliant ball. No one sees it coming. All the defenders are coming out into position, and Thiago, boom, over like that. Into Trent's feet. Trent should finish it.
Yeah, he tries to hit it like Alan Shearer against Aston Villa for some reason. I don't know why he's trying to hit a ball like that. It's literally Alan Shearer, the greatest goal scorer ever. Just put your foot through it and hit it across. I don't know why
are we talking about where I thought it would have been easier if he squared it and then Mane was there for
just hit it in that direction, like low and hard across?
Yeah, I think he was caught in 2 minds. I think genuinely he's got the technique and the ability to hit it, strike for goal. But then we know he's the fucking assist king as well, right? From that angle where he squares it and it's a tap-in.
He could even take a touch, Chris, as well. I think the commentator said that as well. He could have taken a touch, but
possibly. Oliver says, look, facts. We neutralized them and should have capitalized on the chances we had. This should have been light work. And Evan, it's true. Like, looking back, as when you can look at the game back and you know what the result's going to be, it gives you a calmer mind to look at it sort of objectively and see what the situation is. And I'm absolutely with Keith. Looking back, we absolutely limited them to very, very few, even half-cut chances. Like, there was one where Alisson, I'm sure you guys have seen the clip where Alisson plucks it out of air like it's nothing. Remind me, if there's anybody else or in the chat, remind me of any times where they actually looked threatening, even though they had the much talked about Adama Traore, the much spoken about Huang, and of course, a lovely football in Jimenez. We absolutely, by around halftime, coming up to halftime, I think we were in total domination.
Yeah, I would be in agreement of that. I mean, I'm trying to think of another time where they looked threatening, and I honestly can't think of one, because what I noticed, first of all, is how often we were catching them offsides.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, they're just going to hoof it up to Jimenez and Traore the entire time. They must have been offsides 8 or 9 times and onside once, which resulted in that shot you're talking about, Grizz. So, yeah, we absolutely nullified them. I'm in agreement with Keith as well that it was largely our most professional performance of the season, if that makes sense, in terms of establishing control and keeping it. In previous games, even though we won by more convincing scorelines, there's always been a spell where the other team might have been in it briefly, maybe even for a bit longer than briefly. But
we spoke about it. We spoke about it in the Everton post-match. Yeah, we spoke about that very topic.
Yeah, we established control. Obviously, Thiago and Fabinho have a lot to do with that. But, you know, obviously when we got into the final third, we were nowhere near our sharpest. You know, we were a bit off it yesterday. But just in every other third of the pitch and in every other department, we were not challenged whatsoever, and we had complete utter control.
I think this explains it. Like, by the end of the game, Conroy, our expected goals was 2.42 compared to 0.10, and these are facts. These are not made up. These are people that get paid to do such analysis have come out with that. So it's very viable and truthful. Just going on from that, Conroy, I felt the same control. I did think a goal would come, and I did say that it's going to be a 1-goal game. This is one goal written all over it. Even to a point where I thought, if they score, we're going to struggle. Just like Evan says, because of the fact that we were struggling to finish off our very good play. I felt at times the passing was a bit slow, but we started slightly increasing the pace of our passing in the second half. And one thing I wanted to ask you was, at this point, or was there any point in the game where you thought maybe the lack of changes in the lineup is costing us that 1% in sharpness, especially in the forward areas? I thought Jota overall and Mane and Salah struggled. I don't say that lightly, because their movement and their endeavor was still there. I just thought they were slightly a few percent off their usual selves.
But what I would say, Grizz, is they don't always have to be at 100%. As I say, like, I really think this is just a copy and paste performance if we score in the end of the first half, which we should. And the way the game went, I mean, I agree they probably weren't the sharpest, but let's have a look at the stats here. Mane has I know we're going to get into this, but Mane has a great chance. Salah has a chance. He has another good chance. Jota has 2 great chances. I mean, that's your front three getting 6 chances in a game. I mean,
but that's my point.
Normal.
But that's my point. Usually a fresh, alert, totally not up for it, but totally fresh, alert. One of those front three takes one of those 5-6 chances that you've mentioned.
Yeah, I agree, but I think it's just one of those days, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Jota's header in the first half goes in 9 times out of 10, and maybe that's on the back of his mind, as Keith says, we'll get into later in the game. I just feel like at times I can be quite forward, or like quite, cynical in certain things of the game. But I'll be honest, yesterday I think it was like the way the game worked out, kind of like the West Ham game. I think 9 times out of 10, that's a comfortable victory for us. And I just think it's like, I know we'll talk about what obviously the Lord Divock done later, but I just felt it was one of them that we played that game again, we'll score in the end of the first half, or we'll score at the start of the second half, and we'll just be talking about how comfortable a win it was, just because we didn't finish when we needed to. But you can have games like that, guys. Like, this is not the first time our front three have had poor finishing games. Like, even when we've won the title, we've had games like that. When we won the Champions League, we've had games like that. I just think it was great mentality. But I'm not worried, to be honest. I think it's just one of those things yesterday.
No, absolutely, absolutely nothing to worry about. Actually, it's the opposite. It's actually sort of gives you belief that, as Adam
Should
says,
keep
it
going.
happens,
Yeah.
lads. It happens, lads. We've been smashing shite all season. We played 3 days earlier. It was absolutely fine. Um, Keith, it was absolutely fine, and one of the reasons why I say sort of we weren't at our absolute sharpest only in that final third area, and one of those people that weren't was Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah genuinely though has been absolute elite levels this season. That was probably his first game, and how amazing it is in game week 15, probably his first game where he's not at his best. Now that is saying something, but I also want to give a shout out to someone we again highlighted in the pre-match, Nouri, the Amit Nouri, the young left back of Wolves. For me, I thought he was phenomenal, as well as Salah not being his 100% best. Would you agree?
Nouri had to literally sacrifice his entire body for 90 minutes of marking Mo Salah. Like by the end of it, he was shot to pieces, and ultimately it cost him.
Great point. Absolute great point.
And that's what you got to do.
Great point.
And imagine what he had to do today. And Nouri did. He made by far the most amount of tackles in the game. He made 8 tackles in that game successful. He was pressing up against Salah a lot. He gave Salah no space to turn, no space.
It's the best I've seen anyone handle Mohamed Salah since. I hate giving out shout outs to United players, but since Luke Shaw.
Yeah, I remember that as well.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever seen someone handle Mohamed Salah. And you make a brilliant point that he literally had to break his body in the end.
Well, the guy was literally on the floor twice.
It's true.
Ultimately, in the end, it was that lap that was that he was finished, and Salah wasn't. And that's the difference in world. You want to talk about class and world class? That this game can kind of highlight to you why Mohamed Salah is in like at that elite level, because he did. It was tough for him to break into it, and not just that. I mean, Wolves ultimately played with the back 6. Really, I mean, like you had Nouri, but Kilman had the opportunity to double up on him. And then you had Dodonka also come in to also almost triple.
Oh, and Neves. They both they had 5 at the back and 2 in front. That's 7.
7. And they were all if you see the positional maps, if anyone wants to go and look at who scored or anything and look at the positional maps, it's absolutely hilarious because while Jimenez is here as at the highest point, everybody's in their own half. That was the average positional for the entire game. Wolves, what I found really interesting is obviously they tried to do the whole long ball and the corner thing, which I thought was hilarious because Finners was telling us about that.
You got that spot on.
I saw that and I thought, I think
Sa tried it. The keeper tried about 3 times to go early, and one of them was actually unlucky, I thought, but you could see that it's always close, but it never quite works out for Wolves when they try that.
And you know what? We had to pick up a few bookings because of him, because they played this tactic, Thiago picked up a booking. I think Robertson picked up a booking as well. He was trying his hardest, yeah. There we go. Says all that comment. The guy. Shout out Nouri, man. He sacrificed himself.
But the thing is, from that game, he's going to get more. That's bigger for him than Salah because we're all talking about him. We expect Salah to do that. We don't expect a young left back to do that. So to be perfectly honest, the fact that a Liverpool channel we're talking about that's bigger for him than Salah because we expect that. And for a young fullback to do that, that's probably put his stock higher than it was before as well.
Let's just say this, Nouri. You sealed the bag, my friend. Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about double up on him, right? We need to be used to that now. If you want to be judged as the best in the world, people are going to kick you. People are going to double up on you because if you want to be in that and stay in that, you need to get used to that because it's going to keep happening. And he's been brilliant, but this is not going to be a new thing. We're going to keep seeing it because he's in this level now. And the better you get and how high you get, you're going to get more people who are going to target you. That's just football, unfortunately. But fair play to the kid, though. The fact is, Salah does that. The first touch is out of this world. I know we're going to get onto it, but fair play. Grizz is literally tweeting about Nouri after the game or just before Origi scores. So if that doesn't give you much praise for how good that fullback is, how high his stock is now. So fair play to the guy. That'll do more for his career than anything from Liverpool. He'll hopefully win the league from that. But you know what I'm saying? It's an individual point of view. Fair play to the kid because he's really put himself on the map after that.
Literally, Evan, what sort of the guys have been talking about we're going to expect this. Teams are going to double up on our star men, and especially Mohamed Salah. But I also want to talk about sort of, when you've got a team literally on the ropes and literally begging for breaks when every injury or every tackle is sort of exaggerated and they're rolling along the floor and wasting time. Now, you don't normally expect, or you don't normally associate this type of behavior from Wolves. Maybe this is something Mr. Bruno Large and in charge has brought in. Maybe, I don't know his history with other teams. Was that starting to frustrate you? Or did you think, okay, they're on the ropes, they're tiring now. They're
clearly tiring. I mean, you guys talked about how Wolves put out their strongest 11 pretty much, but they don't have much of a squad beyond that these days. You look at their bench, it's not much to write home about. And yeah, they were getting tired. I was so impressed when Raul Jimenez went into the advertising boards. His momentum took him to the advertising boards. He immediately gets up and he's okay, walks back onto the field, and then realizes that he's carrying an injury from that impact. I thought that was so impressive. Connor Cody managed to do that. He managed to be injured just a yard onto the pitch. And I would love to see a little bit more of a crackdown on this type of shit. Because get off the pitch, get off the. If you're walking back onto the pitch to be injured, that needs to be an automatic yellow. There needs to be a bigger protocol when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah, all the time wasting in the world couldn't save them in the end.
I think it was fairly obvious by then that we were beginning to not regain, but sort of absolutely exert superiority in terms of domination, territorial. And I'm going to stick with you, Evan, and I want you to. At what point did you start thinking, okay, we need to make a substitution, or was you of the opinion like, no, let's just stick with it? Was you at that point sort of, we're coming up to the 70th minute now, and we've started missing a couple more chances, right? Are you thinking change something? Did you know in your head, because as fans we always think we know what we need to do. Did you have anything in your head, and be honest, did you have anything in your head that you wanted to change, or would you like, no, we got this?
I wanted to change because we had stopped getting in and around their box.
Big up Lee Gunner, who looks like he sent some of his rats over. But we say rats in a complimentary way in this sense. So big up Lee Gunner. Thank you very much. Sorry, Evan.
No, just around that time, we had stopped getting in and around their box with ease, like we kind of had been all game. So I think it was getting a bit stale. Klopp saw it was a bit stale. I thought Mane's general play had dissolved into something that closer resembled him as a player last season. He seemed to be saving all of his bad touches for the final third, all of his poor decision making. He had a largely effective first half, but that kind of he lost his momentum in the second. So I was asking for a Mane substitution at that time, and I think Klopp gets it right because Adama goes off. And Klopp's like, all right, we're going to make subs and we're going to switch the shape. Because if Adama was their only light at the end of the tunnel when it came to possibly making a chance and he leaves the pitch, then Klopp identifies as let's throw the kitchen sink at them. And I have to give Klopp his flowers. He's been criticized by certain sections of our fan base in the past for game management and things like that. Thought he got it spot on yesterday.
Ronaldinho GOAT. Thank you for the super chat. Says Salah almost produced a brilliant assist. If only Mane could finish. Look, Mane has shown he can still finish this season, man. It was one of those games where, as we said, the forwards were probably the only ones that weren't as sharp as the rest of the team, and that's absolutely allowed. We're allowed to have a 5% dip, from an offensive point of view in a game. It's no big deal, but the fact that we still create shots. Sorry, go on, Keith. You was going to say.
I would go on even to say, like, the forwards, the defenders owe the forwards, because the forwards have gone into games, scored 3 goals, and we've come out with draws. So it's about time that the other one looks after and handles it and makes sure takes takes the lead in that game, and that's where the defenders and Thiago and Fabinho did in that game.
You've segued into something that I wanted to speak about, but I suppose it's good timing that you've said that. And Conrad, I'll let you have first dibs at that, even though I wanted to speak about it because I was so impressed. Keith makes a very good point. Sometimes it takes another team member in a different position to realize maybe that, look, these guys have bailed us out time and time again. Maybe we need to do something different, create something different, something out of nothing. And I thought one person, in my opinion, you can give yours and what you thought, but I thought Joe Matip was absolutely magnificent. Not only he showed the braveness that Keith spoke about in terms of enforcing this high line, knowing that probably Hwang and definitely Traore are two of the quickest forwards in the Premier League. Not only the braveness in enforcing this line, so we squeeze Wolves in and don't let them out. So our gegenpress is in full effect. So we win the ball back early and then we can attack them again. Like, don't let them out and just batter them, tire them to death. I thought his coming out with the ball was so elegant and magnificent. I never saw Alan Hansen, believe it or not. I know you guys think I probably did, but I never saw Alan Hansen in his prime. But from the highlights reels and everything that we hear about him, a lot of my friends that did talk about him being an Alan Hansen. What did you think about Matip's performance and generally the back fours? Maybe even go with them individually, because I thought Verge wasn't great. I know we'll come on to when he was great, but in terms of, I thought he was okay, but I thought Matip was outstanding.
I think Matip was outstanding. I'll let Keith speak more about the line because I know he mentioned that earlier in the chat, but in general, the defence, you talk about Matip. But the thing is, for me, I find it baffling how external clubs or media are always like, oh, Matip's underrated. But by our fan base, he's just like, genuinely, if it was more, I don't know, it was more the narrative, Matip would always be like, as a player, in the top 10 defenders in the world, no doubt. And yesterday, he's just like, there's comparisons to other defenders, but I think when it comes to Matip, like, you look at him and you'd say, well, he's maybe a bit, he's a bit tall, kind of like, he's a bit not light, but slim, and he wouldn't look like a great centre back. But when I see people trying to run past him, he can quicken up when he needs to. He can read the game brilliantly. He has a run in the first half and he takes about 3 bodies out the way. And then it's like he's actually looking for the through ball. And it's like our forwards are not in sync enough to make the run. It's like he's just brilliant. I honestly think I say this every time about Jota has been my favourite player of the season, but I think Matip, I think just because of the injuries he's had in the past, it's maybe not as popular with the rest of the country, but I think he's unbelievable. And yesterday, as you said, Grizz, he really stepped up. I think Van Dijk had a decent game, but there was a few occurrences. Do you remember when he's kind of lackadaisical in the corner and Traore's on him and he tries to flick it around? I don't know what he's thinking there. Like, something, it's like, come on, mate, just kick that out or kick it. You don't need to do that. And then Trent actually covers for Van Dijk in that moment. So I did feel like Van Dijk was okay yesterday, good moments, but a few moments where decision making wasn't the best. But the whole defence, Trent as well, I thought Trent's delivery was pretty good yesterday. I think defensively, as I said, I was impressed with him yesterday. I thought it was a good standard. And I think defensively, Robbo, to be perfectly honest, Adama Traore is hard. And I think you've seen Robbo struggle in the past. And at times yesterday, he's always going to have that burst on you. But I feel like the team on that side defended it quite well. I can only think of a few occasions where he got by. And even if he did, it wasn't necessarily in an area that could kill us, if you know what I mean. I think that's the way you need to defend Adama and not have this kind of image, like a Dejan Lovren image of, oh, I'm macho, I'm stronger than him. Because you're not stronger than Adama Traore. Don't think like that. You're not quicker. So you need to play it like that. And I think overall that defence was good. And Matip was the number one. He really stood up. But can I just add, I know we spoke about it earlier, but remember Trent's cross for Jota's header? We're kind of sleeping on that. That's a great, how good. He's got to score that. What a cross that is, by the way.
We're not sleeping on it. Do you know what it is, Conrad? It's second nature to him.
Second nature, yeah. But it's one of them. It's because he waits for the overlap, I think, by Hendo, and it's just not much backlift. What a cross. But yeah, Matip, by the way. And I think Keith's going to talk about the high line, and I think the rating by Matip yesterday, it's like, do you guys think that Matip just doesn't get I'm sure he doesn't care, but do you think he doesn't get a fair shout when it comes to worldwide appreciation or external appreciation for how actually good a defender he is.
Before Keith goes, just want to read out the super chat from Akash. Who says, Mane needs competition in his position, just like Tsimikas gave Robo. Also, another winger or forward will complete our attack. Completely agree. Competition is very healthy and good for the team. Can I just give an answer? I know he asked you, Keith. I just want to give an answer, a very simple answer. Yes, he's absolutely underrated in terms of European outlook as well. And I'll tell you why. He was actually allowed to leave Germany on a free. Like, he was allowed to leave, and we made it very clear that we wanted him early on. And I think also people forget that he played 17 to 18 games for Schalke as a DM. Alongside
Avi doesn't forget, Chris. Avi never forgets. He never thought was going on about it.
There's a very famous or very popular guy that he played alongside. Maybe someone in the chat, a real football guy in the chat will know. He played alongside a more renowned midfielder. I can't remember now, top of my head. But the fact is, the point is, you can tell he's played ball. You can tell he's played as a DM. He knows what it takes to make those runs and find the amount of times he broke lines. And Keith, I know you're a massive, massive fan of the high line, this high risk strategy that we played, but it reaps the rewards. So yeah, man.
Keith, but you know what it is, yeah. Do you know what it is about it? Is Joel Matip is a perfect example of that. It's kind of like they're so technically gifted, our defenders, that even in counter-attacking situations, they can deal with it and gain the ball and create an attack out of nowhere. Like Joel Matip, for example, how many times over the years have we seen him like win a tackle and almost play a forward pass to start an attack or a counter attack? How many times did he win a tackle or standing, never sliding around, just clamps the guy, gets him out? He doesn't get enough credit for a lot of things. I mean, his aerial prowess yesterday, looking into that he won the most amount of headers of our centre-backs yesterday. He won four of his headers yesterday, and that was more than Van Dijk. So not only does he do it all on the floor, which he's renowned for, but he's also fantastic in the air as well in defensive situations. And he loves a fight. We've watched this man over the years pocket the likes of Lukaku. You know, we've watched this man over the year pockets the likes of Harry Kane. You know, and Joel Matip has come, like, he's been the big player in big games for Liverpool. Like, and over the recent history, you know, even over the last couple of years, yes, he has his injuries and he can be out from time to time. But when he is on, he is like him and Van Dijk. And it's like him and Van Dijk is like a telepathy. I see it all the time, right? Like, you'll just see, like, if one of them is just a slightly inch over, the other one will already know and they'll step out as well. And they'll offside. They step out as well. Like, the synchrony Matip has with Van Dijk to be able to do, it's like it's telepathy. So, name any centre back in the world right now on the level of Joel Matip. Like, when you think about centre backs in Europe, it's a tough one. And I just pray and I hope, you know, that he can see this through, because he's a brilliant player. And he was, you know, Grizz, shout out to that shout, because he was rated on Who Scored as the man of the match for the game as well. So he would have gone under the radar of a lot because of what happened. But you know what, Joel Matip really has come to his own this season.
Sorry, guys, just to add, you know how we talk about like centre backs and stuff. This is one thing we spoke about Thiago and Fabinho last week. I think with centre backs is we need to stop looking at it as individuals sometimes. Like, there's partnerships. Like, so if you had two Virgil van Dijks, I mean, that sounds amazing, but you know what I'm saying? Sometimes people complement each other, and I think Matip complements Van Dijk. And you know, you always talk about Ferdinand and Vidic, but they did complement each other, and I think it's very similar with those two. And touchwood, he stays fit, but I can see that relationship's the most important thing there, because I think even Virgil, when you see him, I think there's just, we said telepathy last week, you know, with Thiago and Fabinho, because of the players they are. I feel that they are very similar as well. Sorry, Chris.
No, that's perfect, because I was going to say something similar, but I just want to read a super chat out because, you know, we appreciate super chats and contribution to the channel. Don't forget Matip pocketed Kane in the final, Akash says. He absolutely did. But Evan, just coming on from what Keith and Conroy said, and I've just got something in my mind that I feel very strongly, but I give it some thought, and I wanted your insight onto it. And that's, he talks about, the guys have spoken about the telepathy and the understanding, and also the complementary of the two styles. Now, I feel it, and there's always, you know what it's like. There's always a chat about when someone does well, we start saying, "Oh, what about Gomez? What about Konate? These guys need to be in there." And of course, they will get their time and they will get their chances. And Gomez has probably been part of, I don't know, factually, statistically, some people may tell me in the chat, of probably being part of the best defense in recent times, alongside Virgil. But for me, just personally, for me, I feel as though, in my opinion, Matip is the best partner for Virgil, because I think and I feel Virgil has a lot of respect for the way Matip plays, and Virgil is very and Matip is very vocal. I've said this before. When you go to live games, you realize Matip ain't this quiet, shy, doesn't like the limelight. He's very vocal. In fact, I tend to say he's probably the more vocal when you go live, and not many people would see that and feel that looking at their characters. I also wanted you to touch upon sort of the complementary in terms of styles of attack from our base, because that's something that is so underrated in this Liverpool team. Do you remember Arteta referenced it in how do we press these guys, right? And obviously we're going to talk about the key event later, but just the complementary in styles of the two defenders. And there's absolutely attributes that Joe Gomez absolutely brings and Konate brings, but are these two the best in your opinion as a complementary duo? And what do you like about them? Do you agree they bring different styles of attack that I think, guys, looking around in Europe and centre-backs around, I think is pretty unique the way we can build up attacks, either by Virgil's pings or Matip's runs and incisive passing?
It's certainly the greatest defensive partnership of my lifetime for Liverpool by quite some distance.
There you go. I knew Evan wouldn't let me down. Me and Evan are on the same wavelength. I was thinking
that's because you just text him. You just text him, Evan.
No, I swear he may be. I thought he's going to come with the Joe Gomez, which I wouldn't have argued with, because statistically that may be the case. Maybe, I'm not sure. But sorry.
Listen, Joe Gomez deserves all of our patience and respect and attention. But, you know, I have to remind myself that a lot of Gomez's game time during that year where we just never lost, Matip was in and out of the team due to fitness. I do think that when fully fit, Matip and Van Dijk is the pair for most situations. Obviously, on the day, you can do a tactical tweak of we need Gomez or Konate's recovery pace. And what a brilliant two options to have there. And to be honest, Van Dijk is so good. I could care less who plays next to him these days. I'm going to be quite honest. Joel Matip is a top 5 center back in the world. Don't get me wrong, but we are so spoiled for options. We are the home of the Rolls-Royce center back. Look at us. I mean, I think about where we were 3 to 4 years ago in terms of the center back position. And I mean, the night and day difference that Virgil has made. I've said it on a previous show. We went from the team where I'm just like, oh, great, here comes a corner. Here comes Liverpool conceding a goal, to we're going to score from the other team's corner 10 seconds later. So we became that team overnight. Virgil's contributed to that. But Grizz, I think you're spot on. When we're trying to, when we're considering how teams play against us, a lot of them are going to play compact, like Wolves did.
Yes.
And even the teams that don't, that try to press us, Matip's skill set on the ball is used there too, because he can dribble out of tight scenarios. He can pass out of tight scenarios. So I think Matip can handle any type of approach to nullifying our attack. So yeah, when fully fit and at full strength, I think Matip is clearly the best partner for Van Dijk.
And then, Conroy, we get into the sort of midfield setup that we deployed in this game. And I think it's fairly unanimous. No, there's no such thing as fairly unanimous in the Liverpool fan base. But okay, I'd say it's fairly unanimous in my opinion that this is our strongest three, definitely currently, and overall, for me as well. How did you think they performed? Take them three individually if you want. or as a collective as you want, because I try to look at collectively, I try to look at the dynamic the three create, as opposed to looking at one person individually. Yes, we can look at individual performances, but it's always the dynamic of the team, and does it help the dynamic of the team? I'm not saying Henderson struggled. I wouldn't say he struggled. I don't think he had much impact. But for me, the other two were absolutely sublime.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that assessment, to be honest, Chris. I feel like there is this narrative every week, and I'm not saying Henderson was great yesterday. He wasn't. He probably just had a average game, but it seems to be the thing, because you know what? He'll have a great game against Everton, and people say, oh, he should be playing like that. And then he'll do this, and he'll say, oh, he's had a poor season. Not from the community. I just think sometimes there's this narrative towards Henderson. Yesterday, I agree. I think that midfield three's working great. And this is the thing sometimes. I don't know why every player can't be amazing every game. Like, that will not happen. We shouldn't live in a fantasy world for that. So the fact is, if 2 out of those 3 are having a good game and can keep that consistency up, that's great, because there's going to be games where Thiago might not be on it with his passes, he might give the ball away a few times, or Fabinho might not read the game great and maybe not have that balance. We've seen that already a few times this season. So we can't expect all 3 of our midfielders to be outstanding every game. But for me, I think Thiago was the standout. You might say Fabinho was good as well. That might be because I'm just used to it, Grizz. I'm just used to Fabinho. We normalise it. But even, the pass to Trent, he said about Thiago earlier for Trent's chance in the first half. You can tell he's just getting that. Confidence is the wrong word with Thiago, but to me, he feels at home now. You can just tell that he's just adding little things, and he's maybe not overthinking or trying a Hollywood pass when it's not on. He seems to be finding that balance at the moment, and obviously this midfield three being our starting one, I think, is the reason for that. And yeah, there'll be games this season, and hopefully if they all can stay fit, where like the game against Everton, where Henderson was the best player in the park. But I think there'll be other games where like you'll see Thiago shine more, and that's great, to be honest, because I don't live in a world where they can all be amazing every game. That's not going to happen. That's not how humans work. So yeah, for me, Thiago was the shining star yesterday.
I think Avi's taken offense to our praising of Matip. I don't know why. People sleeping on Gomez. I don't think none of us have slept on Gomez. We've said that he possibly has statistically maybe the best stats from that period. So we're not sleeping on Gomez and VVD. We're saying right now, taking into consideration Gomez's serious injuries and everything taken into consideration, Matip's fit. He's played the last 290 minutes within the space of 3 days. When did we ever, hear about that? We always used to criticize him for that. So look, sometimes you got to praise the unpraised. Gomez, Virgil van Dijk, absolutely out of this world. We know this, but Matip never gets the recognition. And I just thought I'd bring it up because he's one of my favorites. And in terms of personality and character, he brings joy to your life every time you see him wave his arms around and everything, So that's what it is.
But just add, it's a bit amazing. You win a Champions League with one centre-back pairing, and then you win a Premier League, like, I know Matip started. I mean, that surely isn't that common as well. Like, on the back of each other, that just shows the additions were smart at the time. I never really thought about that before.
Absolutely. Just very quickly before you go on, there's over 430 of you in the chat. We appreciate you all, but we'd appreciate it even more if it's possible if you smash that like button. Do the right thing and just smash that like button for me, people. Thank you. Paulie Walnuts, who's a regular in the chat, says, still thinks Thiago can brush up on the timing on a lot of his tackles, Keith. I actually thought last couple of games is the best I've seen him winning the ball back cleanly, timing his tackles. I actually think he's becoming better and better at that. And the biggest indication of a vote of confidence from Klopp was when he made that change where he took off Henderson and kept on Thiago, even though Thiago was on a yellow. Did you have any fears at that stage? Did you think, oh, this one's a bit, or did you believe in that? Because what happens at that juncture is Klopp, I think Evan said, or was it Conroy, that they saw Traore come off and we thought this is where we absolutely go for the kill. And we've criticized Klopp for timing of changes in the past. But did you think, yes, this is the time to actually go full out attack? So what he does, let's just quickly set this up tactically. What he does is he brings on Divock Origi, puts Jota in the 10, and then plays a double pivot of Thiago and Fabinho. Brave decision. Thiago was on a yellow.
I love it.
Did you?
I
Okay.
thought it was one of it was one of Klopp's finest moments in the Premier League game, as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely. First of all, with the Thiago yellow, even though Thiago was on the yellow, he wasn't in reckless mode. I felt like he had control of the football match the entire game. What I love about Thiago is, he's kind of come to England and he's really put himself about. He puts himself about in challenges, in winning headers, midfield duels. He's a combative midfielder, and he was against Wolves. Yeah, first of all, his passing is something I want to talk about in terms of I feel like this is what David Silva might have been like. We move the ball from A to B so much quicker now, and you could argue that our passing from that part of the pitch has upgraded from Ronaldo. Controversial, but I believe.
So who's the pundit that said Thiago slows us down? Wasn't there a famous pundit that said
that was last season? I think.
Last season, yeah. Now he's playing passes, through balls, cutting up lines for fun.
He's playing in a better team though. Let's be honest, some players are the star in a team where there's not many, and some players. Well, most players, it's not rocket science, is it? Better players around you, you're going to play better. I mean, it's not rocket science.
But he needed time as well. It wasn't just in terms of the players he played around. He came into the Premier League, and you know what? It's the biggest cliche in the world, but the Premier League is intense, it's hard, it's hard. People are in your face 24/7, and I think
I don't think you get away as many fouls as well. If you're in Bayern Munich, you might get away with 3-4 slide challenges, but you don't in the Premier League. I remember Southampton away gets booked in the first 2 minutes. I think he's realised that you can't get away with as much, or vice versa. But I don't know. I was always told his pressing was good. And it was very much like Fabinho. It took 3 months. It took him a while to understand how the game goes. But I think no one's ever doubted his quality, guys. Keith, I think he's just it's unbelievable.
Honestly, he's one of my favourite players now. He's
just a matter of time, wasn't it, mate? It was just a matter of time.
But Henderson, the thing, just quick, I was going to just touch on Henderson before I pass back, Chris, is that it was absolutely the right decision to take Henderson off. It just wasn't his day. And it wasn't his day because Wolves, by and large, had the right-hand side secured. I felt most of our positive possession came from the left or even from the centre through Joel Matip, right? That's on the right-hand side, we found it difficult unless it was Trent's crossing into the box. And he makes a change. He goes to his formation. He brings on Divock Origi. And all of a sudden, we just look a little bit more dangerous. Lately, Divock Origi has been coming onto that football pitch, and the ball has just stuck to his feet. He does things. He makes decisions. This season, this Divock Origi that we are seeing is a man brimming with confidence. And he changed the game. He made just before he scores, he makes a darting run into the box where Salah cuts it back, right? And defender ends up getting a slide tackle. But he's all of a sudden we're pushing Wolves into their box instead of trying to play this way, right? All of a sudden, focal point. Now this boy's there. He even has a chance where he spins on his heels and he tries to take a shot. Oh, he skies it, but it just felt like, all right, this Divock. Sometimes
it's amazing when they put him in the box. It's amazing instead of putting him on left wing. It's amazing when he does that.
Put him through the middle because I don't know. As I said, this season is probably Divock's. We're seeing a lot more of Divock that we only ever see in flashes in other seasons. It's all happening at the moment for him. So he really came on and changed the game, and that 4-2-3-1 by Klopp. That's something to be very interested in as we go into the winter times.
But I agree with you in terms of the Origi situation. But Evan, I want to come to you, and I thought this is probably the time to discuss Jota, because we had a little chat in our WhatsApp group earlier. We spoke about sort of misses, elite misses. I think you said elite misses, or Conroy said elite misses.
No, I say it's elite. It's elite level.
Elite level miss, right?
Yeah.
And look, every striker goes through phases where he misses chances, and every striker goes to clubs where he's been at previously and gets rough time from the crowd. Do you think it was the first sign of Jota not being as cool as we've made him out to be, this cool, destructive, cold-blooded killer, because of the crowd influence and his, so because he misses that chance, and then he goes on to miss another opportunity where he chases the ball down, The keeper, guys, tell me if I describe it incorrectly, because I was going mad at the time, so I don't remember. I didn't watch it again. So
you smashed the telly at that point, Chris.
nearly. It's too expensive to smash it. It's not. It's
You
not
need to
good
tweet
time.
that if you're doing
Just
that. Though.
before-
You need to get the likes in. You need to record
Just
it.
before Christmas, I ain't buying a brand new TV, man. So I refrained. But I think the defender collides with the keeper, Evan. I think, right, guys, and then it falls to Jota. He has an opportunity to take a stride or two and then just shoot it in before the defenders get back. He actually feels the need to carry on, and then at that stage, I think he's made the right decision, because when he's carried on, the two defenders have submerged into one side of the goal.
Mm-hmm.
And the cold-blooded killer that we've seen, which is Diego Slaughter, as some have named him. We think he's going to just slot that ball to the left or right of the defenders, as the case may be. But he has this feeling of emotion where he feels he needs to take them out or take the net out. What happens? Describe your feelings and what do you think going through his brain?
I still, like you said, he shows his composure by getting to that point. I think it would have been easy to rush a pass to Mane that might not have gotten to Mane. It would have been easier to shoot, or not easier, it would have been the less composed thing to shoot early. So I think he shows that he's a cold character by taking the ball as close as he did, and he just makes the wrong decision. He goes for the low blast instead of the pass into the corner, shoots for the wrong side of the goal, in my opinion. So yeah, it's a howler. One thing that wasn't really talked about, not that this excuses the miss or anything, but I'm pretty certain he fouls Roman Saiz. I'm pretty sure he is the catalyst of that collision. If I remember correctly,
suggestion.
I clearly saw a pushing motion, and Saiz goes into Jose Sa, and they collide.
Okay.
So as he's going through on goal, my dad and my friend are, on their feet screaming, I'm staying in my chair, because I've told myself I'm not going to celebrate because I'm pretty sure this is going to get reviewed. So
You're right.
that didn't make the miss any easier to take. I wanted him to at least get us in with the shout of a 50-50 VAR decision, you know what I mean? But I don't think many people were mentioning that on Twitter from what I saw. But in terms of John, I just said I'm not making excuses. I'm just,
exactly.
Just pointing out something that I saw. It's a horrible miss, but for me, it doesn't even crack the top 50 misses I've ever seen. Because for me personally, in my opinion, anytime there's bodies to shoot around, it can't crack the top 50. Because if you go on YouTube and you type top 50 misses of all time, you're going to get a bunch of people rounding the keeper and with nobody in front of them.
But it could be off balance. Balance. He's completely steady. Has every time to control it.
No, Conrad, don't get me wrong. It'll probably be the miss of the season.
Torres against United, he's off balance and hits it wide when he takes it around. If you take it
around,
that's a stretch.
I think you're honestly rewarding mediocrity here. I honestly think that's embarrassing how he's not scored that.
He's so bad. Moving. Torres is moving at the same speed Jota was moving at.
But if you take the ball around the keeper, the angle's different. He is literally in the center of the goal, right? It's equivalently, it's like
fair enough. Listen. Don't get me wrong, guys. It is an unbelievable miss. It'll be the worst miss of his career. It'll undoubtedly be the miss of the season. But what I'm trying to say is that there is a tier above Jota's miss.
I agree.
Where there is nobody in front of the keeper's out of the situation, the defenders are out of the situation, and that is where you will find the worst misses of all time, in my opinion.
I tell you why. I just one angle I want to give of no excuses before we get sort of people making excuses. No excuses, but it is sort of an excuse, right? Whereas, Conrad, first and foremost, there are two big, burly blokes.
On one side, though. On one side. They've made the decision for him.
He's run a bit of distance with the ball, right? And he's realized he must score now because he could have hit it early when there was no people in the area, in the box. And another thing I'd like to suggest is it was on his weaker side.
No, that
He
does
still
not
manages-
not in my mind. No chance. No chance. I can score that on my right foot and I'm left footed.
No, you're
Professional footballer on
talented.
80
No,
grand a week can score
we
that.
agree.
Right.
Keith, we'll leave the final word because me and Evan have said 2 against 1 that it's not an elite miss. Like, it's a horrendous miss, but
It's in the top 50 for me. It's definitely in the top 50.
Oh,
So
dude, listen.
Conroy's got you're just straight ruthless.
User
I think
letting
that's
people
what
away
happened,
because
but-
when the pressure's on, he's bottled it, and because there's men on the line, that's no excuse. For me.
I would go with.
Is it in the top 50 of all time? Are you saying it's in the top 50 of all time, Conroy?
No, listen,
Yes.
99 times.
chance.
Conroy, I am in
100%.
complete agreement. I'm in complete agreement. 99 times out of 100, he has to score that. Doesn't matter what side.
98.
Sure, whatever. Doesn't
There's
matter
no
how
excuse
far,
he doesn't score that in the world.
All right, let me finish. It doesn't matter what foot it's on. Doesn't matter who's on the line. Doesn't matter this. Doesn't matter that. He absolutely has to score. It'll definitely be the worst miss of his career, and we'll be watching the miss again in May when they're doing the worst misses of the Premier League season. However, Conroy, I urge you to go onto YouTube and type in the worst 50 misses of all time.
I'm saying Premier League. I'm saying Premier League.
Like I said, Conroy, it is full of people with nothing in front of them, with just as much time as Jota had, if not more, with closer than Jota was, with literally nothing in front of them.
Just because he can set himself, Evan. That's what annoys me, because I know when I'm playing, like,
It's
if
a
you set
difference of
yourself,
opinion. Look,
if you can
it's
set
stop
yourself.
that carry on and then saying, "Oh, Conroy, come on." You know, one statement.
No, don't get me wrong. There's 2 players who've had worse misses. I'd say Salah against Sheffield United was worse. That's an open goal from 2 yards out. And probably Mane against Leeds was a bit, well, that was still a pretty bad miss as well.
Well, we're still going to have the final say with Keith on this particular topic. But Mr. Wilson sends a super chat and he says, "Have we forgotten Jota missed an open goal in the Palace game at home too?"
That was bad as well.
Well, there you go. And that was
Salah missed from 2 yards against Sheffield United, and Salah's the best player in the world. I'd
say that was a worse miss, guys. The one against Palace. He literally blasted it over near enough on the goal line.
Yeah.
But look,
it's because he sets himself, Chris. The ball's on the floor. So if I can set something up myself, people say you have not got time to take a touch, but he's had time to set himself up. That's what annoys me about it. It's like, I get what you're saying.
I think more frustration on your part at that time, as opposed to I think in about a week or two, I think you may change your mind that there is definitely 50 worse misses in football.
Maybe, Chris, but Chris, see if Origi doesn't score, right? Like, literally, he's not sleeping for a week, and we're going to be talking about this rest of the season. Like, I think we're light on how big a miss that actually could have been. That could have been our season. That could be losing a title miss. That is so massive.
But that's different. But that's different from actual. We're talking about the technicality of the miss.
Yeah,
you're talking about the repercussions of the miss.
No, I'm still talking about technicality. I'm just saying adding on to it as well.
Now he's adding emotion.
That could have been massive. That's not argument for the reason for it. I think technically he steadied himself, and I just think that's my opinion. I think it's in the top 50 because if you get that luxury of no keeper,
I'll settle it, guys.
In a couple seconds to find it. So fair enough. Each their own.
I'll do a poll on Twitter. And we'll ask, are we happy with the top 50? Or do you want to change the number?
And top 50 in the Premier League. Top 50 in the Premier League.
Conrad, what you have to remember is that there's people who have had what you're talking about, setting themselves, time on their whatever foot. There's people who have had everything Jota had without the bodies on the line, and they still missed.
Look,
so there's not that many in the Premier League. There's not that many.
Get a YouTube link, right?
I don't think there's
the top 50 misses, Put that in a tweet. Put a poll next to it, have watched the video, and then come back.
There's a proper mix in the chat, to be fair. Like, some people are agreeing.
That's why it's going to be so interesting.
But look,
sorry, I need to put this one up. You're absolutely right. But to be fair, I praise Jota every week, to be fair. Like, I do praise Jota every week, to be fair. So.
But I agree with, where's Rami's one? Look, I agree with Rami's, I need to give a shout out to Rami's, man. Where's that comment gone, Conroy? Oh, can you find it for me, Rami?
What was it, Rami's? Let it go,
There we go. Yeah.
100%, mate.
The reason why I want to bring that up is because Rami's is the genius and the brother that done the intro for us. So can we just give a round of applause to Rami's that done that amazing intro for us? Big up, Rami's, man. Thank you very much. And he's right. Let it go, guys. I know I started the fire.
Bit of fun. It's only a bit of fun.
I started a bit of fire, but let it go now. It's done. Because now we get to the what's the word?
I bet the poll will be 50-50, guys. Watch
I'm
it.
going to do a poll. Let's see. Oh, so we're doing top 50 in the Premier League, right? Are you both happy with that?
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah.
Okay, no
Oh,
problem.
we're doing Premier League now. So we've narrowed the goalposts.
We've narrowed, yeah.
I did say
we've narrowed the
Premier League.
goalposts a bit there.
Now it's gonna. Yeah.
Okay, so we do top 30 then. We do top 30 in the Premier League. Then. Are you okay with that, Conrad?
Do you know what? Be fair, Evan. Do top 50 in the world then. Say top 50. I did say Premier League.
Top 50 since video cameras became a thing.
All right. Well, we'll say that.
That's what I was talking about. That's what I was talking about. Top 50.
But listen, what we can say is Jota, when he's dropped into that 4-2-3-1 and played as the number 10, yes, Klopp was brilliant in terms of his game management. I thought Thiago and Fabinho took over the game completely by then. I think our forwards, I think our fullbacks were just absolutely playing past our halfway line. Keith, Jota didn't suit that number 10 role. I thought Jota struggled in that 10, and it was very evident that within 5 to 10 minutes of that substitution, he substitutes Jota, brings on Oxlade-Chamberlain. And then I think it's all hands to the pump, because then we start missing chances literally every 5 minutes. We miss
Sadio Mane.
We missed the Jota chance. We missed the Sadio Mane chance. We have Salah on the turn where we think, but Ox does bring a bit of calmness. Origi does bring a bit of directness. And you're right. Interestingly, he plays him through the middle. Jota didn't suit that number 10, did he?
No, I didn't. And I think it's something that you can't always do in a certain situation like that, in a game like that. I think you've asked Jota to do a particular job for a number of weeks now, which is to be part of the fluid front three. When you're trying to drop back in a bit, I think it's just didn't work out. And actually, I think taking him out of that allowed for, more space in behind, first of all, for Mo Salah to have, Nouri and Kilman having something else to think about, which was Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. And at the same time, also give Divock Origi a little bit more space to get balls through to him more. The thing about the chances was, we talk about Jota's chance. Sadio Mane, that chance is an absolutely humongous chance. He has, that is, again, because I think when we debate about chances with our forwards, not every fan base can talk about their forwards the way we talk about our forwards, isn't it? Because the kind of pedestal that we put them to is at such an elite level, and we're talking like world best forwards, and world best forwards in that situation, killer instinct, kill the game when it needs to be killed. And that was a huge chance for Sadio Mane. All he had was Sarr to beat. There's
good save on his left side again. He got it on target, plenty of power. Maybe he could have kept it lower. That's my assessment. I don't think it was as...
He would have known it was a big chance. That's the thing. Like, he would have known it was a big chance. Like, he watched that back and he would have said, I would have done something different in that situation. But it was, again, even though we say it was only a matter of time, at the same time, it started getting to a point where I think that Salah chance where he's on the turn and he shoots, and then that's when you felt that
for me, that was at the point. If I was a weak fan, if I was a weak supporter, I would have turned the TV off at that point.
Correct.
Luckily, I'm strong.
Correct. No, exactly. You knew it, but you always see it out to the end, because you just never know with Liverpool, right? You knew the time was there, but at the same time, you felt that was a significant moment. That, again, Salah on another day is a lot sharper in that situation. And obviously, I'll let you segue into the moment, because I think it's probably the moment of everybody's weekend, let's be honest, because it took my weekend from like 0 to 100 real quick. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, before we talk about the actual player and the legend, Evan, it just so happens, I didn't plan it like this, but you have first dibs on the actual description of the goal. So it starts off with what we spoke about in terms of Virgil van Dijk's eliteness, in terms of those passes. Like, hit me with some other centre backs, guys. Maybe I'm wrong. Hit me with some other centre backs that have that level of accuracy, precision, weight, of continuous at least 3 passes a game like that at an elite level. We must mention, before we go into the Amit Nouri, something like that. I beg his forgiveness if I've said it wrong. He goes off, as Keith says, battered, because he's put in the performance of his life, keeping the best player in the world relatively quiet. Our very own, our ex-very own Hoover comes on. Literally the last kick of the game, Virgil van Dijk, calm as you like, as the song goes, does that, Salah does that, and the rest is history, right?
Yeah, you asked me to name other center backs in the world that can hit passes like that. I'm sure they exist, but whether those other center backs in the world that can do that have the balls to do that with what is definitely definitely our last possession of the game, I'm not quite sure. Because what Van Dijk could easily do is just hit a 5-yard pass to Thiago and Fabinho and just be like, here, you go create the possession. You go. That's your job.
That's your job, yeah.
Salah is calling for the ball right now. The best player in the world wants the ball right now, right here, and I can do that.
He smells blood, right?
Yeah,
because Salah
100%.
Smells blood now. He knows
it's tough. I think here's the thing. I don't want to pile on Hoover, not just because he's a former Red, and I'm not going to pick on him because I know he's a young talent, but it goes back to the thing Klopp said. Klopp doesn't really like subs because it's difficult to mentally switch on like that. And I think if that's Nouri before he's battered, I don't think he switches off the way Hoover switches off and lets Salah have that touch. And let's talk about Mo Salah. Anonymous all game, could not retain the ball well, fluffs his only shot, his only opening of the goal in the entire 90 minutes. He takes a fantastic touch to put him in position. And then he has the calmness and the presence of mind to go between the keeper's leg, not the keeper's legs, the defender's legs into Origi, who I thought did what every great big number 9 should in that situation, which is kill the ball dead, turn around and smack it low. And what he does is you have to smack it low because he's going through a sea of legs. Cody and the other young English center back are
Kilman
are scrambling for it. They're throwing their bodies at it. And you hit it low and you hit it hard into what I call the zone of death, where keepers definitely do not want the ball, which is just
zone of death. We've got to use that more often.
Me and my dad call it the zone of death because the keepers would rather you try to put it in the top corner. Because if it's in the zone of death, which is just a foot or two to the left or right, you either have to have a De Gea level of expertise with your legs, which few keepers have, or you have to get lucky. So he does everything you would want from a big center forward, and he gets the goal that I think his general play deserved. And I don't know. I don't know if I have a word for Divock Origi. Like, is he a Liverpool legend? Is he a cult hero? Is he inevitable? I don't know.
We're gonna come upon the actual.
Yeah.
The actual exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Like, what is he? Yeah. Like, what is he to us? And before we go into that, Conroy, that gave us a win that was absolutely as vital and important as the Man United thrashing, the Everton thrashing. Yeah. Because it's not, as we've said so many times, it's not about the 4-0s and the easy walkovers and whatever. You got to show nerves of steel. And I thought I haven't shouted the mentality giants often enough since we were dubbed the mentality giants. And I think that was probably the best example in a long time of the mentality giants actually being worthy of their name, right?
Well, they're back. You say they're back, or hopefully they're back. Because let's be perfectly honest, let's bullshit here, folks. If we had not done that again, that would be 3 times we've bottled it, right? And then the writing's on the wall for me, if that's the case. I don't care the context of the matches. That would be Brighton. If I can't remember who dropped points. We drew that game, and I can't remember, was it West Ham or Brentford? It was one of them. Brentford dropped as well. Yeah. That's 3 in a row. You go from 60-40, in my opinion, to winning a league down to 80-20 because you've got a machine in Manchester City, and you need to make a statement. That's a season-defining one, if you ask me. Listen, I'm not saying we're definitely winning a league, but for me, we're in that. That is massive. It really, really is huge for us to not go for free, because that goes on people's minds. Free opportunities failed is
capitalized.
Cynical. I'll be cynical. That's not good enough. That's failing, and it's failing. That can knock the stuffing out of the team. That when you saw the celebration, we're not talking nonsense. They felt the exact same, because that would be another opportunity They'd let everyone down. They'd let themselves down. They'd let the fans down. But they managed to pull it out the bag. They should have won the game, right? But they've rescued it thanks to putting a number 9 in the box. And as much as our front three, forwards 4 are Firmino amazing, they're not strikers. They're not number 9s. I don't care what anyone says. You need a number 9 to rescue games exactly like that. My biggest problem with Origi is when Klopp does bring him on, he puts him out wide. He's not a wide. Stop putting him out wide. Like he's stop trying to put square pegs into round holes, right? He is a number 9 who you put in the box when you're chasing a game. Just put the balls in the box. It's not rocket science when you're chasing a game. Pen a team in, and that's how we score. Hopefully we'll employ that more often, because there's no point having him at the club if you're not going to use him what he's good at. And I was delighted with that, and hopefully it gets used more. But honestly, I can't emphasise this enough, because I have said on this channel for the past couple of weeks, Chelsea will drop points. I've been proven right in that. Not tooting my own horn, but they're not on the same levels as Man City. And I think you might see they'll drop more points and we'll kind of go a bit ahead between us and City. And that's huge. That's absolutely huge, because I really think every game now it's going to be, we need to win. We need to win. I genuinely think people have been saying, it's not going to be as high. It might not be 90 points, but I do believe it's going to be, you need to win every week. And unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. And we knew Watford weren't going to take anything off City. So don't have to worry about that. But there'll be a time where City is going to drop points. And yeah, that's unbelievable feeling, to be honest, checking Twitter, because I couldn't find a stream that was up to date. Every stream I found was about 10 minutes behind. So I'm listening to 5 Live, stressing out on 5 Live, right? So then go to my phone, then go to 5 Live, then go to my phone. And because the commentators on the radio are so good, they're like, but you're actually getting nervous listening to them. Then I'm on my phone. Honestly, it was, and I remember, shout out to, I think it's Thiago's father, right? He tweets and he says, "Oh, we've done it the hard way. We always do it the hard way." And I couldn't work. I'm trying to work out, does he mean like we've not scored? And then I just see the Origi, like it comes up on my phone, Origi, like I'm following it on Sky Sports. Oh, honestly,
it was, as I said, it was pretty emotional. We're going to continue discussing a couple of things. Just a quick one, Conrad, I'll stay with you. What was better? NBA 786 sending us a what was better? Pass, first touch, pass, or finish? Work it out and then answer.
If it was Salah's pass, the first touch, or Origi's finish, like, or Origi's touch and finish, or the pass, like Salah's touch and pass. To be fair, I'd probably say Salah's touches out of this world, to be honest. Like, when you're a top striker or a top finisher, I wouldn't say Origi's a top striker, but he's a good finisher. I'd say most strikers can do that touch. It's still brilliant, but at a top level, you should be able to do that. The touch by Salah just takes the fullback out of the game. And a lot of people are criticising him. But for me, like, it's not even like he touches it perfectly. Like, he doesn't overhit it. Because if you watch it on the repeat, it looks like he might overhit it. And it's like a perfect weight that if he done 3 times again, he probably doesn't get it that perfect. And then, yeah, I'd probably say the touch from Salah is ridiculous.
3 points. Magnificent 3 points. I tell you guys, I don't normally go wild when we score. You know, I like to keep a calm level head. You know, even if we score in the last minute, because I kind of expect my team to win. It's just those levels of sort of you have in your head about your team. But this one felt different. Even to me, it felt so different. It felt so powerful. Keith, this man who saved us, and we've discussed him throughout the summer. In fact, he tends to be discussed every summer. Yeah. Because every summer it seems like there's a conversation around this guy. And I will first put my hand up first before anyone else, because I'm going to get all of your guys' opinions on it. And I want you to be as truthful as me, honest as me. Don't cheat, don't lie, guys, because I will catch you out and I'll find clips of you guys if you do lie to me. I will be the first one to say I wanted him sold straight after the Champions League final. I thought to myself at the time, and I was very vocal about it, he scored in the Champions League. That is the most we will ever get for Origi. I want someone who's more suited to the team, who will be more of a competition to the front three. I just felt he's never enough to be a competitor for the front three, yet he's had the most clutch, the most iconic moments I can remember as a Liverpool striker. I can't deny that. Even though he saying all that, I am still undecided what I want with this guy, because now it's mad. He's literally coming to the end of his contract. He's available for free in the summer if we don't tie him to a new contract. I've given my opinion on it. It's not a question. It's just a statement I've made. You answer it and speak about how you want about Divock Origi.
Joe, with Divock, right? I'll go as far as to say that all the Belgium strikers and in particular centre forwards over the years, he's probably had the biggest moments of this generation of Belgian players. The Lukaku's, Kevin De Bruyne's, like they've all had runs in better performances and been from a longevity perspective. With Origi seems to have been able to play his position the entire time. Origi always knew that he was a part of a great squad and a great team. So why would you want to walk away from that if the team's turning around and saying to you, listen, we're not going to play you all the time, but you're going to get your opportunities to play? And I think it speaks volumes that a football player can go weeks without playing a football match, sit on the bench, and then come off that bench or come in and understand the assignment and have the moments that he's had. That takes a particular type, because the majority of players will not put up with that. They'll either go into, wanting to leave, darker place. I need to get out. Look at Shaqiri. Shaqiri wanted out. He didn't want to play that type of position. Klopp was happy to keep him around to play in and slot him in, and he said no. Origi has never needed a run to come in and be effective. I actually think he was, a lot of people forget he was injured for a lot of last season. Like a lot of the injuries we talk about, Origi was a part of that injury list. He missed a lot of football matches because of injury last season. And I think that kind of took everything away in terms of we came into the summer and everyone was mortified that he was still in the squad, literally mortified. Some of the comments that went around about Origi and some of the things that were said about this player over the summer was quite intense, because everyone was pretty much trying to push him out the club as fans. For him to go through all of that and perform the way he's performed this season, that is why he's part of the mentality monsters. And I think for them to do what he did, you have to 3 points in a Premier League must-win game. As Conroy said, every game is a must-win. Origi plays, when he scores that goal, he's doing it at an elite, at the fine margins level. To come on and do that, not many strikers in the world at his level are going to come in and do what he needs to do. Longer term, if his contract comes up, I think it might be a case of, like Wijnaldum, like Emre Can, there's been players that come, and I think they'll I don't think he'll sign a new contract. I think we'll go a different direction. But for this season, I think it's a great backup opportunity, and he looks like he knows he will need to put himself in the shop window. So it could be very much a marriage of convenience this season, and I think there's a few more clutch moments to come. He's already had 2 clutch moments in the League Cup, and now he's had this clutch moment in the Premier League as well. So, one other thing, so a little fact. Divock Origi scored 3 goals against Wolves. He scored the only goal in the 2 defeats that Jurgen Klopp has ever had against Wolves in the FA Cup and League Cup, which I spoke about on the channel before. This was the 3rd one, and shout out to him. He's made it the most significant.
Redemption again.
Redemption again.
Evan, Lord Divock Origi. Keith feels maybe his time, his magical time. You got to call it magical. I don't know another word in my vocabulary to sort of use in this. What kind of time has he had at Liverpool? He came as this fantastic, one of the most sought after young attackers in European football, and he shows, even in that Europa League run. Do you remember, guys? A fantastic talent, and we think we've got some player. I believe it's in that period he gets that nasty tackle from Funes Mori, the Everton player, and he never recaptures that Divock Origi, but still brings us so much joy in so many games, in big iconic games. Keith thinks, in his opinion, it may be time to part ways with this icon. Give us your thoughts on Origi, the man, the myth, the legend. Take it away.
I just don't know how I would even describe Origi. It's just I don't think there's a word for him. Because for me, Liverpool legend, sure. Yeah. Cult hero, yeah. But none of these words like fit what he actually is. He's a representation of why we all love football, Grizz, right? Because it's the magical side of it. It's the romantic side. It's the storyline. It's everything. And I am totally fine with the concept of having these players in our squad who don't play for months and then get bored and decide to pop up with the most important goals in our club's history. Love it. Keep them coming. If they want to ride the bench all this time and they're cool playing that role, sure. But the realistic part of my brain says that Origi should have left in summer 2019. Probably should have left in every transfer window after that. We still do need someone who's with a higher ceiling, someone worth developing. And this is not to say that I think he's a bad player or that I'm one of these fans with pitchforks, on Twitter, just asking for him to leave, saying all sorts of horrible things. Definitely not. Like I said, I'm more than content to have him around. I would not want to have him around at the expense of not signing someone else. If that,
I think that's the key point, isn't it? I think that's the key element that we need to take into consideration, because he's happy, and that is so crucial in terms of a team spirit, team building, and Klopp alludes to it so many times. He seems very happy and content to be, as Keith said, he knows the assignment when he's called upon. It's pretty unique, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Klopp talks about it all the time. And squad harmony, not having players constantly knocking on the door saying, "Where's my game time?" That's how Klopp wants to operate. When Klopp talks about wanting a small squad, he means most of that. He's being, I'd say, about 80% truthful when he says that. And a player like Origi, who's of a certain quality, probably not up to the standard, but content to be restricted to dead rubber games at the San Siro, League Cup ties against Shrewsbury, and then occasionally the biggest game in our club's history up to that point. So he's content to play that role, and it's finding someone like that is a really tough sell. You can't tell me that we were content to run the likes of Andy Robertson into the ground. Absolutely not. We would have signed Kostas Tsimikas if there was a Kostas Tsimikas available earlier. Like, please tell me, who are these players that are young, affordable, are content to be second string 99% of the time, and want to sacrifice all the perks of being a starter in order to come to Liverpool? These players don't really exist. And I think I think fans fail to realize how rare the wants and needs of players like Origi and Tsimikas are. And that's why it's so hard to find. And I think that's why Klopp puts so much value on striking that balance in squad harmony.
Asad's picked out Kostas. Yeah, no Avi, but we've got Evan to do the linguistic skills.
Yeah.
He had to sort of remind us of Avi somehow.
That's a new
Conroy, the last word on you on rare, enigma, icon, legend, lord. Divock Origi, his time at Liverpool. What do you make of it, and what happens now? Because it is coming to a point where we've got to make another decision.
Absolute clutch. Absolute clutch player. For me, a cult hero. I think legend, you've got to be quite significant to be a legend. I think that. I think the thing is, because a common phrase, especially in Scotland, it's like, oh, if you're a cool guy, you're a legend. You know what I mean? It kind of gets bandied about. I think cult hero for me, he's still
up. 26. He's
still
26.
To be fair though, Grizz, when he was bought, he had a big potential around the world. I remember he played at 18 in the World Cup of the Euros. I always get mixed up, and he scored for Belgium. So to be honest, his stock's probably dropped quite a lot than what it was when he was 18, 19, to be perfectly honest. He was kind of, at the time, they were looking at comparisons with Lukaku. Obviously, Lukaku was, from a young age, scoring a lot of goals, but they were looking at that, and it's not panned out that way, but we've reaped the rewards. For me, I agree a lot with Keith. I think, listen, the guy had a lot of amazing moments, but we need to go in a different direction. But for the season, absolutely loving it if he can come in and actually, to be fair, put him in the box. Like, he's not a winger. Stop trying to play him out like that. That pisses me
I
off
agree
all
with
the
that.
time.
100%.
Like, it's not rocket science, Keith. Like, genuinely, sometimes I think we overthink it. It's not rocket science. He's 6 foot. He can score. Put him in the box when you're chasing a game. So it's actually probably annoyed me that he's done that against Wolves and he's not done that in other matches. But I'm not going to. Klopp's amazing. That's the one thing with Origi is he's not a winger. He's never going to be a winger, right? So put him in the box. I think there is another. I've said this all the time. Like, we can evolve with another number 9 who can link up better and really, really like be a killer as well. You can either look at, I know someone in the comments saying like a Vlahovic or a Haaland. I'm not necessarily even saying that level to start with. I'm just saying there's maybe someone you can get. Doesn't need to be a youngster, but can come in and save games. To be fair, Divock has done it, but I just think there's maybe some players who can complement in other ways, as Grizz says, make that competition for the first team. And as much as he's been amazing moments, I think I'd agree with Keith. End of the season, go a different direction. And for him as well, he's 26. He probably thinks, right, I've won the Premier League, I've won the Champions League. Whatever happens end of the season, I'll move on now and try and get my individual numbers up or my individual game time up and try and look at that. It's a weird one, though, because he's been on loan to Wolfsburg, didn't work out there. He's done a few, like, you know, it's not necessarily worked out other teams. So maybe that's kind of playing why he's been happy to be a bit part player, because he's maybe realised when he's went out to the wilderness to other places or like other teams that he's not known well, he's not enjoyed it. Whereas he knows great facilities, great team, outstanding players he's playing with, maybe prefers that. But for me, I just think there's other options in the summer. But absolutely, as a cult hero, amazing. Probably a psychopath, to be honest. Like, doesn't feel pressure. Like, I'm not even joking.
No,
I'm not
it's
even
true.
joking. Like, I think he may be a
I
psychopath.
agree
or
with
sociopath.
you. He's
But you know
got
what?
this.
He's the only player that posts Instagram posts with no captions.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You've seen that? No captions.
No, explain that.
Like, literally, you know how everyone like posts a picture on Insta and it's always got something about it, hashtags, whatever.
Right.
Look to Origi's Insta. It's just post.
No context. No context.
context.
Usually,
What do you mean? Just a text?
Just
no
context.
text. Nothing, Grizz. Like normally they'll post a picture saying had a great barbecue this weekend.
Oh, just a picture.
They'll just say nothing. They'll just say nothing. And the only people that are allowed to comment, on his posts are people that he follows.
Yeah.
He doesn't let the public comment on his posts at all. He's just
It's different, guys.
No, it is. I just add, Grizz, sorry, in the chat, they're saying you're not going to find, like, I disagree with that. You're always going to find some striker. Like, listen, like, if you look at Manchester City, there's depth, right? We can't compete with that, but you can always find someone. I do agree, but I think football's not a 11-man game anymore. It's a squad game. So there's always going to be options out there. As you say, you might not get everyone you want, but there's options out there. I think it's more doable now than it has been before. And I do think
can I agree with you? Can I agree with you real quick and say, you know, obviously Vlahovic, Haaland, that's a huge level.
Yeah, they're just in my head. I'm not necessarily saying that.
No. I'm saying that's obviously a huge level, but you're talking about someone like Patrick Bamford, someone like that, someone of that Premier League level.
That's it.
It's more of an out and out number 9 who gives us something different. A guy who doesn't look out of touch being the number 9 in a 4-2-3-1 when we need him to.
Yeah. Great point, mate. That seems to be a few of the comments are saying it, and I've got to be honest, I'm not going to get in a transfer debate or anything, but I've actually been very impressed with Bamford. He's much more intelligent than I thought he was, because to play for Leeds, you have to lead that line in a certain way. So fair play. But Emmanuel Dennis is another one. Someone said that he's been quite impressive, but we're not getting into that debate. But Origi, just to finish on, sociopath or psychopath in the best way. I mean, like, just doesn't. He scores the winner against Everton in the 94th minute, and he thinks he's equalised. He's grabbing the ball. It's just
still. Has anyone got a valid explanation and a theory to what that was? Has he ever spoken about it in an interview or anything? Because that is still crazy, right? What was he thinking at that time?
He's so in his own world and so removed from the pressure of the situation, like we're saying, that he genuinely probably didn't realize what the score was. Here's the thing. This happens to high-level professional athletes at the time. A couple of years ago, the Cleveland Cavaliers were playing the Warriors in the NBA Finals, in the biggest game in basketball. And one of their players thought that there was only 3 seconds left on the shot clock, which is where you have to put the shot up or it's turnover. There was 15 seconds left, and he just tossed the ball away. So even high-level athletes have these brain farts all the time. So that's all I can explain it. But in terms of celebrations, have you guys noticed he's working on it? Because when he scores a Champions League a goal in a Champions League final, he trots over to the crowd like he's just scored the goal against Sunderland, and he's just like,
But you know, I love that. I love that. He just treats it as like, you know what, like. I think that's an asset in itself. Like genuinely, like he just doesn't seem to feel pressure, and I don't care what you say. The top players, of course, they feel pressure, but Origi just, honestly, I genuinely believe he's a sociopath. Like I believe he's a psychopath. He just doesn't feel it just in the pitch.
Amit says apparently Robertson's already come out and said he thought we needed another goal, which is crazy.
No, he did. No way.
Yeah, he thought we needed another goal. Amazing. I mean, that is just so Divock. And you know what, guys? Do you think that his calmness and his demeanor and his it helps with his finishing? Do you think that's what makes him? Because Klopp actually alludes to it, that he says, and Pep Lijnders said it as well, he's one of the best finishers. I don't think they would say it in public as often as they've seemed to have said it in recently, if they didn't believe that. Like, yes, there's other aspects of his game that are not probably to the level that we require, hence why he's not a regular starter. But in terms of just cold-blooded finishes when you need it in high pressure situations, he's fucking proved it again and again.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chris. Like, think about, guys, forget the context of the goals, because that's what we'll remember Divock Origi by, the context and the timing of the goals. Think about the goals themselves. Never scores tap-ins, does he, Divock Origi? It's always some incredible finish, and then you add the context on top of all that. And I think Conroy's right. He's got to be some type of psychopath, because like some players like literally black out when they play, right? Like some players will tell you, I have absolutely no memory of scoring that goal. Like I blacked out because
interesting that you know that we
remember the celebration, but they don't actually remember how the ball went in the net.
Like for so many players have said this. So many great players say, all I remember is running to the crowd. I don't remember
just elation
onto the ball and shooting. I don't remember what I was thinking. Like some people literally black out. And
guys, do you think it'll be interesting to see in years' time if he brings out a book? Do you guys think there'll be anything in that book?
No,
I don't think you'll hear about him. He'll leave football. You'll not hear about him. He'll be like Steve Finnan. He'll just disappear.
There won't be a book. Like if he can't put captions on his Instagram post, then there's not going to be a book, Grizz. You know what I mean? You're muted, Keith.
Sorry, it's going to be pictures. It will just be pictures.
Just pictures.
Yeah. Like his entire career in pictures. It'll bring back the picture book.
That would be so Origi. I mean,
and you know how else it would be? It would be also like limited edition picture book as well. Like there's only 50 ever made.
No, Keith, he'll have an editor that forces him to like write something, and then he'll just be like, "This is me scoring in the Champions League final," and that'll be it.
It's got to the point now, guys. It's like, listen, what is the most famous? Probably Gerrard against Olympiacos, but Gerrard used to score screamers all the time. So it's like Gerrard, like genuinely, there's so many Origi moments now. It's actually getting ridiculous. I wouldn't put it past him for scoring the winning goal to win as the Premier League. Like that, it's just he'll just do that, and then he'll probably be like, "All right, I'll see you later, lads. Enjoy the celebrations," and just drive home.
Nothing's happened. Nothing happened. I actually want to finish off on just quickly one by one, going through the most iconic moment so far. As Conroy says, hopefully there's much more to come. But Conroy, start with you. For you, the most
this season.
No. Divock Origi's career.
Oh, Divock Origi. I think it's a bit obvious. I know some people
everything
say
you have to consider context if you want, or
for me,
your favorite.
Yeah, for me, honourable mention first. Remember the Dortmund when we were 4-1 down in aggregate, and then I think it's
Emre Can puts him through.
Yeah, because it started second half and he puts it through the legs. And seeing the first half, we missed lots of chances in that game where we weren't really playing, weren't clinical, and that was a massive goal. And I remember thinking he was good in that campaign, Grizz. He really was before that injury against Everton. But I would say, and another shout out was his one against Everton when we won the league, when he lobbed the keeper from a Lovren pass. But for me, it's got to be, it's obvious, but see the Champions League final, see the elation when he hit that ball in. I think I just fell on the floor, just like relief. Not even just relief, because there's this, Klopp, 6 finals. Is he going to do it? And then just Divock, Origi, Matip, Pedro. He's like, oh, left foot, no bother, half volley. See you later. I'm getting the 10 o'clock flight home. Keep the taxi running. See you later, guys. It was honestly, for that goal in itself, the way he just hits it, I was like, relief. So that's my favourite Origi moment.
Keith, honourable mention and choose one.
My honourable mention has got to be the Dortmund game away. I thought that was his best ever game for Liverpool. And when we went there and we won one, was it, I think 1-0? Was it 1-0? That goal was brilliant. Again, he doesn't score easy goals. Like, that goal was brilliant. Takes it on the turn, first time shot, completely outside the box, bottom corner. It was a brilliant finish. Absolutely sensational finish. So that's going to be that one. And then in terms of like my absolute favourite, it has got to be the Barcelona goal for me. I think like...
I forgot about that, Keith. That's mental. I forgot about Barcelona.
Too late. You've blown it.
Well, I'm going with Champions League final still. That's Origi. I forgot about him scoring.
We always talk about Trent, right? We always talk about Trent in that moment and how quick of mind he is, yeah. But Origi, to get that ball fired at you, to be switched on again, like you guys say, is a sociopath. So the only few people that knew what was going on in that moment would have been Trent, who was doing the thing, and the only man in the entire stadium who knew what was going on was Divock Origi. When you think about it, he was the only one switched on in that box, finishes it, and again his celebrations this has just been a mental moment. Everybody's jumping on him, and I was screaming the house down. I thought, wow, because he started that game, and it was kind of like we didn't have Salah that day, and it was kind of like it was a bit worrying that we were going into this game without Salah. And again, over the years, when we've asked for someone to slot in a key moment, Divock Origi did exactly that. So the flowers are there. And you know what's so funny, just before I was supposed to Evan for his right, is I would not be surprised if the old romantic in Jurgen Klopp tries to get him to write a new contract. Honestly, Klopp's a bit
now
of a
you've
romantic.
changed your tune. Now you've changed your tune.
Not what I believe, what I feel like Klopp could potentially be. He likes certain people, and I wonder. Personally, I think we should cut our losses though. But I wonder.
Project 5 AM says, watch a YouTube interview for 2008 talking about his faith. The psychopath reference is a bit insulting to the brother. Absolutely fair enough. We didn't mean to insult him or offend him.
Can I just add that, Chris? I didn't mean it like that. I was meaning...
Of course you didn't. I know, I'm just making
a psychopath or sociopath's probably the best one, which like people don't have like feelings or pressure in moments. Yeah. So maybe that was... Sociopath's one of the better phrase, but what I meant by that, it's not in the sense of like you're a psycho, nothing like that.
Absolutely.
Just
we're not in the business of
just don't feel pressure,
anyone.
People don't feel pressure. That's when I feel like Origi.
Evan, Keith's given us his honourable mention and his standout, and then he's changed his mind on the whole debate of Origi signing a new contract. Give us your honourable opinion, honourable mention, and choose one.
Okay, honourable mention. I'm going with an extremely hipster choice here, but in 16-17 we went away to Middlesbrough in the Toxic Thunder kit, and he was the finish at the end of an excellent team goal where we dismantled Middlesbrough, I think 3-0. It was an Adam Lallana masterclass.
What a shout, Evan. I remember that. What a shout.
We scored this wonderful flowing goal. That was here, I'll link it after the show, but wonderful flowing team move. And I said Origi doesn't score tap-ins. It was a tap-in in this case, but I just remembered that because I love that kit. I love that season. So yeah, that's my honorable mention. And then, I'm going with the safe choice because I think you have to choose the goal in the Champions League final because it is a goal in a Champions League final, but also because it's the last goal of a season in which he went on this path of becoming a hero. After all, Everton, Newcastle, Barcelona, and then he caps the season off like that. You have to go with that goal because it's the final chapter in the book of that season, and he has a bunch of chapters to himself. So yeah, you have to go with that one.
Chris, can I just add one more? Do you remember when he just joined and it was the Klopp just started and it was the League Cup against Southampton away, and I think he scores a hat trick. And I remember it was the right foot finish and he smashes it. I remember it was like a second half hat trick. Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch mine. I'm sorry. I'm gonna switch mine. I love that team goal against the Riverside, but who remembers when he scored from the tightest angle away to Bournemouth.
Bournemouth.
Remember that?
Yeah,
Yes.
we lost that game though, but yeah, I remember. That was a really
Jota
good
should have
game.
taken some notes because he
Yeah.
rounded the keeper that day when he came running out.
Exactly.
Right at the bottom slot.
That was
That was
incredible.
Insane finish. Yeah, insane finish. Yeah, honorable mentions, all of the above. For me, the Barca goal wins it for me. It's the most iconic, one of the greatest attacks. Came to Anfield. We didn't have Bobby. We didn't have Salah. Origi was asked to step up to the plate and ends up scoring the quickly taken corner. I just think that was absolutely iconic. I get, obviously, the sentiments behind the Champions League. But, guys, for me personally, I just thought we're winning that regardless of anything happening. That's why it's slightly lower than the Barcelona one, where Barcelona, we needed that fourth goal. So I don't think we needed that second goal, as was proven, because Spurs didn't score anyway. And I just felt Spurs we were in total control. Spurs was never going to win that game, never. Whereas the Barcelona one was just euphoric, monumental, epic, whatever. That's just my personal. With regards to Origi, how can you not love Divock Origi? How can you not love him and smile every time you hear and see him score a goal? And he frustrates the life out of you sometimes. Like, who remembers the last season's miss against Burnley when he's cleaned through? Is it Burnley?
Yeah, it's the bar, yeah.
Hits the bar. I mean, I was ready to find out where he lives and shit, send the heavies in, All right, but it comes to a point where you just got to sit back and just absolutely enjoy him for what he is. And he's an enigma. I guess that's one of the best ways of saying it. He's an absolute enigma, and he's wonderful, and he's ours at the moment. So let's just enjoy him while he is. Guys, it's time to wrap it up, man. It's been a fantastic show. Really enjoyed the Origi segment. I thought we needed literally just a segment on Divock Origi. You know what I mean? It needed it. Like, after the weekend he's given us and the joy and joyous scenes, there's still over 350 of you in here. There's still not 350 likes. So something's wrong somewhere in those maths and equations. Like, even though I know. Man of the match, Ali wants to know very, very quickly, guys. Let's do the man of the match. No honorable mentions. We want a straight man of the match before we go. Ali, thank you for reminding us. None of these guys had the insight to remind me. We haven't done a man of the match. Even though I told them, if I forget anything, remind me. But, the wallies that they are. Conroy, man of the match.
I'll go for Matip.
Keith?
Matip for me.
Origi.
Okay, Origi, yeah. For that little cameo. Yeah, amazing. I get it.
Yeah.
Evan?
Thiago by a country mile.
Country mile. I'm going to go with something different, because that's the beauty of variety of spice. Spice is the variety of life, or variety is the spice of life. I'm going to go with Fabinho. And none of us can argue with either of our choices.
Grace, can I just add one more point?
Mm-hmm.
When we did the pre-match show, my words were Fabinho and Mo Salah were going to be integral. So hearing you say Fabinho was your man of the match.
Yeah, but that's one of those that's not great insight, is it? Fabinho and Salah is going to be integral.
Salah's going to get assist.
Do you know what
I said it would be Fabinho's best game. I said it would be
9 assists this season so far.
Okay, we'll give you the Fabinho one, but the Salah one, come on.
No, Salah. No, you don't worry about Salah.
Exactly.
Water is wet, mate. Water is wet, Keith.
That is an Avi moment, Keith. I'm sorry. That's an Avi moment. But listen, guys, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Get on these guys on Twitter. Get on their handles. Get on their channels. They're all great follow. As you know from Sundays, that they give great insight as well. We try to keep it balanced. We try to keep it humble. We try to keep it level-headed as much as we can. We try not to insult players. We didn't try to insult Origi's faith in any way, shape, or form. We were just being affectionate with Origi by calling him that. Guys, don't forget to like the stream. We will be back for a pre-match show, AC Milan. We play on Wednesday, so we'll get that out on a Tuesday. I don't know which one of these guys will be joining me, but we'll sort it out afterwards. We'll get that poll up on my Twitter to find out if it was the top 50 misses of all time. It'll be interesting to see who wins. I think it'll be a landslide, Conroy, but I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. But guys, we're out with an intro. That shout out to Ramiz again, who done for us. We all see you very soon. Take care.